Can you believe it's November? I
I
mean,
can't.
it's just ridiculous.
I know. It's so cold.
It is so cold, and it's not even winter cold yet. And Emily's back with us this month.
Hello. So good to be.
Did not die like like it sounded like at the beginning of the
I
last
know, I'm sorry
episode.
Yeah,
about
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I'm okay, everyone. I'm okay. I'm just I took a short break to focus on settling into university, but I am all settled in and I'm back and I'm excited to be back.
October was actually okay. No, I think it's the September. I think I watched the most films, but then in October is like coming up the close behind with how many films I've watched. Um, and we were just discussing beforehand about Joker, although we're not going to go
Mhm.
into it because Emily hasn't seen it, and um, we don't want to spoil anything. But it's really it's really fun to see that other people either completely disagree with you or kind of like, yeah, no, I get what you mean about that.
Mhm.
Um, and you can kind of tell who's going to enjoy it and who's not going to enjoy it.
There are a few surprises though, obviously, with
Hmm.
Viv, the
Yeah,
cinema manager.
I
Shout out to
know.
Viv,
I
who
was
actually quite
convinced.
liked it, and
Yeah, I was convinced she was going to hate it, and then she was like, "Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's quite good." I was like, "Okay,
But
that's
it goes
great."
to show you never know what you're going to think of a film. Like you might have heard bad
Yeah.
things about it, or you might not think it's a type of film, but until you actually watch it,
Mm,
you don't really know, which
I
is kind of
never know.
no.
It's
Which
like,
is why I always want to go into something like completely blind
mm,
because
Mm.
it just kind of elevates the entire experience if you're not going off what people have said, which I
yeah,
realize contradicts the entire point
Yeah.
of this podcast. But but it's fine. It's
I know what you
fine.
mean though. Yeah.
Well, it's the ideal thing. Like if you know you're going to see a film
Mm,
anyway, then probably the best way to see it is blind. But
hmm
obviously, people need to have information to know like whether they want to see something or not. Like if
hmm
you don't know about the film or you're unsure on the film, like knowing more about it can help you decide whether you're going to see it. But I think yeah, you're right. For films that you think like okay, you're already going to see, like I'm going to see this no matter what.
Yeah,
For me, yeah, I would say like just go in cold, and so then you just make your own opinion up in the moment
exactly.
rather than
Yeah.
being influenced. But you
Yeah.
know,
And both of you have convinced me to see films that I wouldn't have seen before. Like, I've looked at some films and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna like that. And then you've like spoken about it. I'm like, oh, actually, that might like tickles my fancy. Do people still use that phrase? I don't know. Anyway.
No, they do
No,
not.
no. It's just a weird phrase. So we've decided to go in actual order of release that it's going to come out as Saffron Screen because that's logical, and I don't know why we've never done that before. So yeah, I'm going to pass you over to Zach.
yes, we have The Apprentice, which is a film that's grabbed a lot of media headlines, both inside and outside the film world. It's kind of been making a lot of noise. There's a lot of controversy around it. And if you think The Apprentice, you might be thinking Lord Alan Sugar, you might be thinking You're Fired, which you're not far off because it's about his American counterpart in the original Apprentice show. It's about Donald Trump. This is kind of a biopic of him, but it's not the story maybe you'd expect. It's not about his presidential run. It's not about any recent kind of political happenings. It's a biopic that's kind of about his early years. So him starting out in his real estate career, his kind of rise in the 1970s and 80s in New York. Particularly, it focuses on his sort of relationship and his tutelage under sort of shady lawyer Roy Cohn, who's played by Jeremy Strong in the movie. Donald Trump, I should say, is played by Sebastian Stan, who people will know as the Winter Soldier, among other roles in the Marvel universe. But it also explores some of his personal relationships, his family, and of course his first wife, Ivana, who's played by Maria Bakalova, who I actually had the pleasure of seeing when I went to the London Film Festival recently. She was in one of the films in the film that I was watching, Triumph, which is Bulgaria's entry for the Oscars for the best foreign language film. And it was quite funny. I was there with one of my Bulgarian friends, and literally, like, she was literally just like, I think I just heard like 'cause she thought she heard speaking in Bulgarian, and then literally Maria Bakalova like walked right past us into the cinema, and then she gave a Q&A. So has a cool
Wow.
little connection
What
to
a
this film.
story.
But yeah,
Oh
so
my
yeah, it's pretty
gosh.
cool, and she seems like
Yeah.
really cool, and she's someone who's been really enthusiastic about this role as Ivana Trump as well, and said she kind of fell in love with the real woman and that kind of thing. So that's kind of my fun little anecdote. So this is directed by Ali Abazi, who people know for the Persian language thriller film Holy Spider. That's probably his biggest film. Even then, it's still a bit niche. He also directed 2 episodes of The Last of Us, if you were a fan of that show. He's an Iranian Danish director, and he was the one guy who accepted the job after Clint Eastwood and Paul Thomas Anderson turned it down, apparently. So obviously it's controversial subject matter, and that will also come up later. So it's written by Gabriel Sherman, who is an American journalist and author, so actually not a screenwriter. Interestingly, this is his first script, and he wrote it during Trump's first term in 2018. So it was kind of from then on became sort of a very like hot button script that kind of people were interested in. One of sort of the funny things about it is that it's actually funded by a billionaire, a friend of Trump's called Dan Snyder, who basically he had funded the film thinking it was going to be a flattering portrait of his friend. Um, and then we watched the rough cut of the film, and apparently, and purportedly, he was absolutely furious about the film, and he threatened to stop them from getting distribution. So that's one of the big kind of stories leading into it, one of the big controversies that it's had. And beyond that, Trump's legal team also sent them a cease and desist letter to block the film's release as well. They just ignored that, and yeah, it hasn't tried further yet. And many distributors, Jeremy Strong has sort of said, were quite afraid of the subject matter and didn't really want to like be controversial in that way. But it did eventually find a distribution with, I think it's called Barracliff Entertainment, who I think literally their first film was Fahrenheit 11/9, which was Michael Moore's documentary about Donald Trump. So they kind of have a history of making films about this guy, I guess. So yep, they were brave enough to pick it up and deal with the ensuing controversy. Yeah, it's telling a story that you might not think, because obviously it's about primarily his relationship with Roy Cohn and his rise to power in the real estate industry, rather than the presidential angle that they could have taken. This is something they've kind of been keen to emphasize. Barsi claims the film is kind of non-partisan. He says that I don't necessarily think that this is a movie that he would dislike. And he even invited to screen it for him. Obviously, Trump refused. Trump's had his own reaction. He was, called them human scum for making the movie. So,
Just makes me want to watch it all the more.
yeah, and that the marketing has leaned into that of
Yeah.
the fact of Trump's reaction, like this is the film they didn't want you to watch, all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean he called it a cheap, defamatory, politically disgusting hatchet job put out right before the 2024 presidential election to try and hurt the greatest political movement in the history of our country, Make America Great Again, was
Wait,
his
did Trump,
post.
wait, Trump said this?
Yes, Trump said this. He also then followed
Oh
up, so sad
my.
that human scum, like the people involved in this hopefully unsuccessful enterprise, are allowed to say and do whatever they want in order to hurt a political movement which is far bigger than any of us. MAGA 2024. There's also
Oh,
more than he said than that. That's just like this is just extracts are pulled.
I'm quite the first thing you said, like the first sentence, I'm actually quite impressed with. That's a lot of words for Trump.
Yeah.
Like that is
Yeah.
an insult. But
So
like,
yeah.
oh wow, okay, yeah, I'm not even gonna go into that because I'm gonna. Woo, okay.
I'm so interested to see how this does. I
Mm.
I really like, especially in the US, because it will not, I highly doubt it will be a box office flop. But I'm very excited to see like what the general consensus is, because I mean, I've seen a little bit on it, but I haven't seen the trailer, and I don't know really what really they're trying to say. So I'm really interested, especially along with the election, kind of what majority of people will hate this movie and like this movie, and whether that matches up with the majority of the result of the election.
I mean, yeah, it would be quite interesting because it's broadly got quite positive reviews, fairly positive
Yeah.
reception, from critics at least. Obviously, we're kind of yet to see what the reaction would be from the wider public. It's going to naturally be divisive no matter what. Again, like they've kind of emphasized that they think it's kind of a more complex character study almost. Jeremy Strong. He says that it's a movie where you're going to gain insight and empathy. He said he doesn't think there's anything wrong with that. And he also says he understands Trump fatigue, but he says the movie has more in common with Midnight Cowboy, Scarface, and The Godfather than any boring political movie. So they're kind of hoping that it will last longer as a character study, and hopefully people are able to appreciate it as a character study rather than whatever, Trump called it a political hatchet job. So like they're kind of maybe hoping that it kind of transcends that. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how, the American population takes it, as the people who are obviously voting on Trump themselves. But interestingly, every review I've read and all the coverage of it I've seen have basically said Trump and Sebastian Stan are the most uninteresting parts of the movie. For example, like The Guardian says, of the key central characters, Trump is arguably the least interesting, or at least the one who is not fully formed. And basically, the consensus all critics have said is that Roy Cohn is the most interesting character, and that Jeremy Strong has a really good performance. Everyone said he has a really, really good performance. Everyone said Sebastian Stan is actually a bit understated as Trump, weirdly, and doesn't really go for it. He kind of like, almost, if you've seen the trailers, he almost doesn't really talk in the way that you think Trump would. But Jeremy Strong quite does really go for it as Roy Cohn, who's a man he describes as one of the worst humans of the 20th century, which is quite a big claim.
Mhm.
But yeah, everyone said that he's kind of the show stealer here, and that relationship between them of kind of him teaching Trump everything he knows. So he teaches him three key rules, which are kind of key for the film, which is the first one is attack, attack, attack. The second one is deny everything, never admit to anything. And three is claim victory and never admit defeat. And so it's kind of that dynamic which the film is keen to kind of get you on. And that's why all the critics have sort of said, yeah, Roy Cohn and Jeremy Strong are really the kind of show-stealing things about this movie. So I'll be interested to see if Jeremy Strong is maybe
Hmm.
in with an Oscar nomination or anything like that. Given the film's controversial nature, whether they'll want to do that or not, I'll kind of be
Yeah.
interested
Hmm.
by. I don't know. Do you think guys think that you could maybe?
Well, I'm definitely not surprised that Jeremy Strong is the standout because he's just phenomenal. Um, I think, yeah, it is interesting to think about, will the Oscars lean into kind of giving a more of a voice to this film because of how much controversy is already bringing, and it's not even out yet.
People can gatekeep. If they've got money, they're going to gatekeep things and they're not going to like, not even gatekeep, but they're just going to block them. I would love for the Oscars to look at this film, look at it as a film. Obviously,
Hmm.
it might touch on things and it will touch on things that are true. I really hope they can look at it and be like, okay, regardless of politics or whatever, like, are there performances and parts of this film that we can have, like, and whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
Just
basically,
as a joy as like as art and learn
yeah,
something kind of interesting from a psychological perspective or from a
exactly.
personal level, because that's what Sebastian Stan like kind of like Abasi is kind of been saying he tries to make it kind of a film that's greater than just Trump, and
Hmm.
Sebastian Stan has sort of talked about it in terms of like psychology of like why people crave power
Yeah.
and success, and they kind of go into that, and the whole relationship between him and his father. Roy Cohn becomes his kind of father figure to him, and all of that, which is like stories of father son relationships, and they explore Trump's relationship with his own father and stuff.
Mm.
Like that's just interesting to anyone, and so if for nothing else, considering it for
Yeah.
stuff like that rather than just whatever political message it might
Yeah.
say one way or the other. So yeah, it will be interesting to see if they have the bravery, obviously, because Jeremy Strong accused distributors of not being bold enough to actually pick it up. So it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see if the awards circuits and the industry writ large at the Oscars
Yeah.
uh, has the bravery to do it as well, or even if the film is good enough for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But from the buzz about at the very least Jeremy Strong's performance, I imagine that at the very least is.
I would admit, like, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw what it was about and who it was about. As soon as I saw it was about Trump, I was like, I'm not watching that. But now,
Hmm.
like, I still might not watch it because of that reason. And I know that's a really petty reason because I know there's a lot in there that isn't gonna be what I think it is. I wonder if other people will have that as well, kind of look at it and be like, oh yeah, no. It's about politics. Don't want anything to do with it. And it's fair enough. If you're not interested in politics and the stories that come with it, then fair enough. That's like not your kind of film. But yeah, it's a very strategic release,
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
basically.
I mean, at Saffron Screen, we have it. I mean, I'll get into the dates in a little bit, but we do have it on playing on the 4th, which is the day before the US election.
Excellent.
So if you kind of want some thematic viewing, that's
Mm.
another one. I mean, maybe you do a double bill with, because really oddly, Trump's running mate, JD Vance, also has a biopic that came out years ago before he was in
Okay.
politics. Made by Netflix with Amy Adams, Glenn Close is in it, called Hillbilly Elegy. It's based on his memoir. So maybe you could go do an election double bill. You watch Netflix at home, you watch Hillbilly Elegy, and then you do
Yeah.
The Apprentice in the evening, you know? It's
You
an
watch all the
election
votes
double.
come in.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it's really one of those things that you won't be able to make an opinion on until you see it because of your because of everyone's own bias towards the subject matter. There will be definitely 100% things that you find from it that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Um, and
Mm.
kind of I'm not necessarily saying that your views will be changed, but like there will be things that you realize that you haven't before, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be an event. It will
It will
be
be an
It will
definitely
be an
event.
event.
an
And
event to
maybe
remember.
it will be something like that Jeremy Strong says that kind of will build empathy and things. And so maybe it actually might not have the effect that, it might not divide people. Maybe it will
Mm.
maybe bring understanding. Who knows? I
Yeah.
mean, but either way, it's going to be up to people to decide what they think of it.
I want someone to make one of those TikTok videos of what a Trump supporter thinks of the film after the
Oh,
film,
yeah.
and then what a like a Kamala Harris supporter thinks of the film afterwards. I'd love it.
Yeah. Like it'd be great if there's like little discussions like after the film, people talking about it, like what they thought,
Mm,
different sides of the aisle.
yeah.
That'd be cool. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe that's optimistic, but
Yeah, no, you never know.
So if people are looking to see this sweeping political drama, I don't know if that's how you describe it. Uh, when can
maybe
they
not.
see it at Saffron Screen?
Well, if you do want to see it, if you are interested in The Apprentice, you can see it on Friday the 1st of November, Saturday the 2nd, and Monday the 4th, the day before election night for the US. And that is all at 7:30. Yeah. See you guys there. Be an interesting
Bring
one.
your popcorn.
Mm,
Yeah.
it's definitely a popcorn hunter.
Literally political theater. So
Yeah. I I'm a little bit more convinced to see it. I'm still unsure, but well, and I would watch it for Sebastian Stan as well. That'd be interesting. But yeah, this is I feel like this is kind of like whiplash in cinema because you've been talking about The Apprentice and now I'm going to talk about A Bear in a Hat and Coat.
Paddington in Peru.
Mr. Paddington himself. So Paddington is obviously out it's on out on November 8th and we actually have it on release day. We're joining all like the big cinemas. We're like up there. We're
Mhm.
like, yeah, we're just as good as you, if not better. We are better.
Cool
However,
Kids
We are
Club.
better.
but because we are getting it on release day, so if we want something early, a film, I don't really have to word this because I'm not like 100% on all of the rules. But basically, because we're having it release day, we have to screen it like every day we're open, at least once for however many days. So we are showing Paddington a grand total of 16 times. And I will just say it's not Paddington, it's Paddington in Peru. I have been calling it wrong the entire time.
So you have no excuse not to see it.
I have
Yeah.
no
Because
excuse.
if you can't go for one, there's 15 other
There's
times.
15 others. Exactly. Why have
Definitely
you
true.
not
That
seen
must be a
Paddington?
Saffron Screen record. That must be a Saffron
Yeah,
Screen record.
genuinely.
I want to know what else has we've been screening for 16 times. I want to know how many times we screened Wonka. That was a lot.
Oh, that was a big one. It's the
Mm.
same creative team, isn't it, though? That
I did not know that. Obviously, I haven't done
I
my
think it's
research right.
written by Simon Farnaby,
Oh,
who and I think it's directed by Paul King as well.
yeah, it's got Wonka vibes, and I think like when we were thinking about when to program it, it was a very much, is it going to be the Wonka of 2024 for us? Because
Mm.
Wonka over Christmas last year was absolutely bonkers because they just kept coming. Like people just kept coming out of nowhere. And I think what took us by surprise is people were booking in advance, but most of the sales of tickets were like in the 48 hours, even 24 hours before the screening. And like we'd see
Mm.
like a 50 people screening jump to like 150 overnight. And it was ridiculous. It was amazing, but ridiculous. So we're like, is it gonna be Wonka? Or is it going to be more of like a slow incline to the ticket sales? And
Mm.
so far, like before the program has gone out and everything, it's now out, but before that had gone out, like it has been selling like it is the Wonka of like 2024. So I would advise everyone to get their tickets because you've got 16 screenings to choose from. However, they're going. The tickets are going.
Yeah.
So yes, we're screening from November 8th. That is the release day. We have 16 screenings in total. One of them is subtitled, and we have another one which is a relaxed screening. Monday the 18th at 7:30 is subtitled, and Sunday the 24th at 2:30 is the relaxed screening. So the relaxed screening is, I think we've explained it before, but the lights aren't as dark, the film isn't as loud. There's no trailers or adverts, so anyone that would benefit from like a not a in quotes traditional cinema experience would hopefully be able to go and enjoy the film. So Paddington in Peru is the third installment in the franchise. The story is basically Paddington returns to Peru to visit his beloved Aunt Lucy, who basically showed up in the end of the last film, I believe. Um, but Aunt Lucy now resides at the home for retired bears in Peru. So Paddington and his family head to Peru to see Aunt Lucy. They turn up and she's not there. And the nun that's kind of, I don't know if she's in charge of the facility or just the nun that's around and knows Aunt Lucy, played by Olivia Colman. Olivia Colman in a nun suit is the pure one reason why I want to see this film. Just I feel like it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they arrive and Olivia Colman in her nun suit is just like Aunt Lucy left on like a mission, and then they basically go and find Aunt Lucy, meeting friends along the way. So it's directed by Dougal. I want to say
Dougal.
Dougal, but it's not.
It's
It's Dougal.
directed by Dougal. It's a
Dougal.
different director though, isn't it? From the
Yeah, so it's
last
it's
one.
directed by Dougal Wilson, who's a different director. Um, so he's mostly I loved discovering this. This is why I love looking into films, sorry, into different crew members. So Dougal Wilson, right? He's directed quite a lot of adverts and short films and music videos. So he's done quite a few John Lewis projects, and then just hit he also did the Three UK advert, the phone network of the pony on the like on the cliffs, and he's like dancing to I wanna be with you everywhere. Woo! And he's like moonwalks. It's like my favorite advert in existence. I'm gonna have to
Can't
send it
say
to
I've
you.
seen it.
It was
Nah, that doesn't
great.
ring a
It's like it's
bell.
just literally a moonwalking pony to this great song. Anyway, I got really excited over that. And also, he directed the music video for The Year 3000 by Busted. I know.
Now that
Oh.
I know.
So I was like, wow, okay. These are some good vibes. Like, I'm
Yeah.
loving this. But yeah, so the director of one and two decided not to direct the third one, but it wasn't bad terms or anything. He just decided it was his time to step away, and he pitched the idea for the third film, and he was still involved as an executive producer, so he wasn't like completely like stepping away from it. He just thought it wasn't his project to direct. Sorry, and it's got a lot of the same, well, the majority of the same cast with some new additions. So there's Ben Whishaw who is obviously the voice of Paddington, Olivia Colman, who is a nun. Who there is a great shot in the trailer of her holding a guitar, and it looks like The Sound of Music, and like it's clearly that's what it clearly is.
A reference, yeah.
Referencing. We've also got Imelda Staunton. We've got Jim Broadbent. The two kids, Samuel, Jocelyn, and Madeline. I've forgotten her last name. I apologize. They're both in it. Obviously, they're grown up now. And then we've got two new additions, which I think are kind of their side character or supporting characters rather, that they meet along the way and help them solve this mystery of where Aunt Lucy's gone. And that's played by Antonio Banderas and Carla Touche. So there's a bit of an elephant in the room. The mum in the Brown family in the first two films was played by Sally Hawkins. It's now they've recast her. It's now Emily Mortimer, who is in Shutter Island. She was also in Mary Poppins Returns as well. I kind of looked up what happened with the recasting situation, and obviously I don't think we're ever going to know the exact answer because
Mm.
we're not. Sally Hawkins herself said it was the right time to step away, and I think there was different things going on in her life, and she thought it was the right time to kind of pass on the baton. I have read other things that weren't so nice, that were
Oh
a bit more
no.
controversial and dramatic. But then again, I don't know the source. I don't know how reliable the sources were for that. That was all I've kind of found. And it felt a bit weird because in my head from the first two, it's like that's who I have in my head as the family.
Yeah,
Like, the two
I
kids,
know.
the parents, and Paddington, like they are my world of Paddington. And quite a lot of people were upset by the recasting news when it came out. And a lot of people are like, I'm not gonna watch it, like because of the recasting and all this and that, which you do you. I think I think it's gonna be a very natural like transition. I feel like I'm gonna go in and watch it and I don't want to say I'm not gonna notice because I'm gonna notice because Sally Hawkins is like incredible. But also I think it's gonna be very easy to watch Emily Mortimer because I feel like from the trailer, she feels natural in it and it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb that there's been a recasting. Because in some like TV shows and films or franchises or whatever,
Mm.
there's a recast and it never feels the same for me. But in this one, as soon as I like started watching the trailer, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm open to this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is gonna be really good.
And I think that's it's a good thing that they're able to do it as well because I think there's a lot of places now where they're scared to do recasts for whatever
Hmm.
reason. Like Marvel have already had
Yeah.
actors drop out and things happen and controversies and whatever, and
Hmm.
they've then just gone right, get rid of that character because we've not got the actor anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas I like this that they're able to go, you know what, actually there's another story we want to tell with Paddington, and even though
Yeah.
we've lost the one actor,
Yeah.
no, we can still do it. People care about the characters most of all. Of course, we will love Sally Hawkins in that role,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, like it's still the same character,
Hmm.
and
Mm.
everyone else is still there. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm really glad they're even able to continue this story despite that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like it's not it's so much better than I know they wouldn't like write the character out in this instance, but in other franchises, like they would just write the character out really
I
sloppily and
hate when
quickly
they
and it's
do that because it's
Yeah,
always done
right.
so unnaturally and
Right.
so abruptly.
Mm-hmm.
And I would much rather there be a recast than a
yeah,
write-off. It never makes logical sense.
Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
could definitely a few examples spring to
Yeah.
mind when you say that.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think this is I do think it's gonna live up to Wonka. I think in terms of like the numbers for us, I think it's one that anyone can go and see. It's a very family friendly movie, obviously. Like everyone knows Paddington and he gets his passport. And another thing that just to finish this off before I be quiet about a bear, um, the the British Passport Office has given Paddington a passport. Like this is in real life. Like
Wait,
there's been
what?
news reports. So I know
Oh,
because he gets a passport in the film to go to Peru, the
Oh my
passport office
God.
has been like, yeah, sure, let's give a fictional character a passport. It's so difficult for me to change my picture on a passport.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm guessing Paddington is not going to have a lot of use for it. Like,
What do you mean? Paddington's real.
sorry, yeah, he's real. He's
Sorry
real.
to
He's
break
real.
it to
He's there.
you.
Spoiler alert. That's Paddington
Yeah.
4. Um,
Mm.
Oh God,
yeah.
meta.
He becomes a real
Paddington in the
boy.
multiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paddington. Um, yeah, so I think this is going to go down really well. And I don't even think like even if I don't, I'm not blown away by it. I'm going to watch it because I feel like I have to. It's one of those releases that has been really hyped up for so long. It's
Hmm.
been hyped up like Paddington, Wicked, and Moana 2, and Gladiator 2 actually. have been hyped up like this second half of this year so much, and
Mm.
I would get FOMO if I didn't watch Paddington.
And you've got to complete the trilogy because it sounds great. Like, you know, you
Exactly.
saw Paddington 1, you saw Paddington 2, you saw Paddington in Peru. Like, it's just,
Yay!
come
I love
on,
that.
you got to do it.
We love a rhyme.
I love that they did that with instead of calling it Paddington 3. So
Just
good.
whoever did that in marketing, gold star.
Yeah.
Gold star for you. So yeah, if you want to come and see Paddington in Peru, we've got it on 16 whole times. So it's definitely screening from November 8th, which is release day. And just to remind you, Monday the 18th at 7:30 is subtitled for the hard of hearing, and Sunday the 24th at 2:30 is the relaxed screening. So there's plenty of chances for you to come and see
Yeah.
it.
It's Paddington Mania. Like,
Paddington Mania. And Paddington's going to do some socials takeovers because Paddington's
oh,
real and he likes the saffron screen Instagram. He's already
Very
been
true.
on there today.
mhm.
He's going to be on there
It-
every day, all
yeah.
day, every day.
He loves saffron screen, so you should too.
He might even be
Yeah.
hiding
If
on
you're a
top.
true fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not, that's fine too. Paddington just hates you.
It's not. It's just,
Was
Paddington.
don't shoot the messenger. It's just what he said. It's what he
what
told
he
us to
told
say.
us.
Yeah.
If
He
you have
told
to like,
us.
maybe we should have like marmalade covered popcorn.
Oh, that'd be good. Or
Ooh.
that'd be interesting. I don't know if it would be good.
Mm,
Ooh.
soggy
We should
Yeah.
sell peanut butter sandwiches.
peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Is that not what he eats?
It's
Marmalade
marmalade.
sandwiches.
Oh, they're marmalade sandwiches.
I think peanut
Sorry, guys.
would be an
Cut that out.
allergen.
Cut that out.
That's
It
okay.
can't
Okay.
be. We can't be revealed as a fake Paddington
No, we
fan.
can't be spreading misinformation about Paddington.
Absolutely
That would be
not.
ridiculous.
You're a Paddington hater. Yeah, that's enough about Paddington from me. So I'm gonna let you carry on with that.
So the film that I decided to look out for this month is called Small Things Like These. And I can't say I knew much about it before going into researching this. But now that I know that Cillian Murphy is in it and he's playing an Irishman for once, I'm invested. I'm very much invested. So it's a historical drama adapted from a 2021 novel of the same name by Claire Keegan. It follows a coal merchant named Bill Furlong who makes a discovery. This is the summary. He makes a discovery at a local convent that makes him confront secrets in the Irish town of New Ross, which is in southwest County Wexford. It follows Ireland's most infamous. They're called Magdalene laundries, or alternatively Magdalene asylums. I went on a bit of a tangent reading about these because they're really interesting. So they operated from, I won't go too far into it, but I'll just give you the basics. They operated
Mhm.
from the 18th to the late 20th century, and they housed what were called fallen women. And so women that have like lost their innocence in the kind of the view of the church. So for example, it started off in the 18th century as sex workers were the people that were kind of not forcefully admitted into these places, but kind of coerced
Mhm.
into joining them voluntarily. Um, but then in the 19th century, it turned into something else. It became a place for like seduced women, so having sex before marriage, and then even victims of rape, victims of abuse, and orphans were there as well. So really, it just became something that wasn't how it had intentionally been, um, and kind of
Mhm.
the church, I think, used it as a way to kind of claim that they were purifying these people when really they were just looking for workers. They were given sort of teachings, but also primarily they were laundry workers, so they were factory workers, and they were quietly supported by the state as well. So Ireland had to, I believe, release kind of a statement or like an apology in recent years about it, about how awful the goings on were. And I've found out that over the course of kind of however long they were running for, 30,000 women were in these asylums.
Oh wow.
I know, it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Um, which is why I'm so intrigued as to the fact that this film is focused on Cillian Murphy's character. And
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm so interested to see how they're gonna portray that, whether it's a kind of an outsider view, kind
Hmm.
of not seeing what's going on, but kind of only really only realizing it and then not being able to kind of do anything about it, or if it's going to be kind of flipping between him and then scenes of the scenes of the asylum itself. I haven't really been able to find much out about the plot.
Hmm.
Um,
So do we know
I
when
mean,
it's set?
it's set, yes, sorry, it's set in 1985, which is very interesting because it's the later end of kind of when these were open. So things have been happening for a very long time at this point. They've been open for a very long time. It follows kind of Cillian Murphy's family, Bill Furlong's family, and they're very poor in 1985, 1980s Ireland. All of the all of the reviews have been praising him for his performance, as they do because
Hmm.
it's Cillian Murphy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he has
That's
a
like
tough act to follow, doesn't he? But
he does.
he's gonna be a main draw for a lot of people while they're gonna watch the film.
Hmm.
I think it will be like it sounds like that it's gonna Cillian Murphy's gonna draw people in, and then the story and the education about it is gonna keep people hooked. And like you've done, like it's gonna inspire people to like look into it and fall down that rabbit
hmm.
hole and kind of
And I
yeah.
mean, I
Um
found out about kind of some more media that's represented this sort of stuff.
mm,
Um, there was a there was a 1998 Channel 4 documentary called Sex in a Cold Climate, which is about the survivors of the living survivors of the asylums. And there's also a 2002 film called The Magdalene Sisters. I feel like I might be going on a little bit of a tangent and kind of looking into everything I can about this.
But yeah, I think it is meant to, like Riley said, I think it is meant to make you do that though. And I
Yeah,
think I wonder
definitely.
if that's the reason why they said it in the 80s. They could have said it much earlier to sort of
Mm,
to show you kind of like, okay, no, look, like this abuse was going on up until the 80s, which is not that long ago. It's like that's when my parents grew up,
yeah,
like so it's really not that long ago. And to sort of make that leap to now isn't that
mm,
hard, and the legacy of it now isn't that hard. Because if you'd said it
exactly.
way, way, way before, it might be easier to dismiss as, oh, that's a historical thing. Like, that's not Ireland today. There's nothing to do with Ireland today. Whereas, making it more modern, choosing it to be right at the end is, it makes it more contemporary, makes it more topical, and maybe makes people want to learn about it because, it's not seen as history. It's seen as something that is, relatively speaking, recent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, we talked about Cillian Murphy, but is there anyone else in the film who we maybe would know or should know about?
So you've got, I think there's quite a lot of um kind of new faces, but you do have Eileen Walsh, you've got Michelle Fairley and Claire Dunn, who I already know of. A lot of them are Irish actors, which I'm very, very happy about.
mm,
And I know that already Emily Watson has won for Best Supporting Performance as Sister Mary at the 74th Berlin Film Festival. So already it's not even had a wide release and it's already getting like awards acclaim. So
yeah, I'm intrigued by how much it's actually gonna show. Like if it's gonna
yeah,
be not subtle, but not it doesn't show you like quite literally,
Mm.
or if it's like you see everything and it's brutal.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean it's a 12, is it 12A?
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
do we know the age rating?
Yeah, 12A,
It
yeah.
is a 12A.
I know it can't go
mm,
too much into it, but
which is why I think maybe it will be more of a conceptual thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of focus on kind of its relationship to kind of the church and
Mm.
um kind of morality that way. There's a lot of shots in the trailer of people washing their hands, kind of
Mm,
cleansing
Mm.
themselves.
Yeah.
So I feel like it will be. I'm getting the impression it's going to be kind of like a very dialogue heavy, reflection sort of people sitting around, being like, "This thing you've done is wrong,
Mm.
and this is
mm,
why God said so."
So yeah, because it is meant to be one for reflection, one for thought, one to keep you engaged and thinking about it. And I mean, I guess there are different ways of doing that, but probably, yeah, dialogue, making it kind of almost like a play
Mm,
Mm.
in some respects. Obviously, it's a novel, I guess, first, so which arguably is a more contemplative medium.
Mm.
So if it's obviously taking from the structure of that book, it might have that same sort of effect. So it does seem like, broadly speaking, it is a film that it's got something to say. Like it wants to, it's not just telling a story and like, oh, that's it. It's just an
Yeah.
interesting story. It seems like it does have something to say.
Yeah. And as always, like with all like book and film adaptations, um, if anyone reads the book beforehand, like I want to know how they compare it to the
yeah,
film
yeah.
because sometimes they're completely different and they stand alone and like they're so good standing on their own, but then sometimes there's a complete like headbutting or they just don't link up at all.
Or
And
sometimes they miss kind of like crucial parts of the book.
yeah, yeah. So this will be one to kind of look into afterwards for people that
Yeah.
have read the book.
Fun fact, it's produced by Ben Affleck
Oh my
and
God.
Of course.
his production company, which was
That's so
a real
random.
it was a real fun revelation for me to find that out.
I love it when
Also,
it's like that. There's just like
and
a random producer on it, and it's like comes someone like
tell
Tom
me
Cruise or
why.
whatever.
Tell
Mm.
me why. But
Yeah.
also, Killian Murphy is also producing with Alan Maloney because they both have a production company. It's called Big Things Films, I think. But yeah, I thought that Ben Affleck producing was a very interesting.
That's definitely a curveball. He must just be a
Yeah.
big fan of the book because that is quite big. It's quite a big seller, though, isn't it? I've seen that book around, and I
Yeah.
know the name Claire Keegan and everything. Like, so
Yeah.
that isn't. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it's received because obviously, he had a big adaptation before with Reese just recently with It Ends With Us,
Hmm.
and
Mm.
obviously there was a big kind of row about that.
Yeah,
So I'll be interesting to see another quite popular book being adapted here. I want to see what the conversations are about that as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if we are interested in seeing small things like these, when can we see it at Saffron Screen?
So it's showing twice towards the end of the month. So Saturday the 23rd of November and Monday the 25th of November, both at 7:30. So make sure you get your tickets booked if you're looking for a reprieve from Paddington in Peru. I I wonder if people will be going kind of multiple times.
I feel like there are some that would, and
Dedicated fans that go all 16 times.
I feel like Rosemary would go twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you would like to see something that isn't Paddington or any of the other two films that we talked about today on this podcast, you do have a few other options. So early in the month, you have from November 1st, you have Transformers 1, which is a prequel kind of origin story animated movie for Transformers. You see Megatron and Optimus Prime on Cybertron and them being buddies before they become rivals. You've also got Warren Miller's 75, which is part of the adventure film tour season, and that's on Sunday, November 3rd at 7:30 to celebrate kind of the legacy of Warren Miller as a sports snow filmmaker and seeing, kind of setting the stage for the next 75 years of sports, snow sports films. And then we have the Van Gogh, or the Van Gogh. How do you say it? Van Gogh or Van Gogh?
Van Gogh, I would say.
I think it's different depending on who you talk to.
Yeah. Either way, you have the, I'm going to say Van Gogh exhibition, the famous painter. We all know who we're talking about. Poets and Lovers. cool exhibition that we're doing. The arts on the screen stuff always sells really well. So November 10th at 7:30 if you want to watch that.
We've also got a Hollywood's Greatest Stars film course running on Sunday, the 17th of November from 10:30 until 5:30, I believe. Um, Bearing in mind that that is at Fairycroft, it's not at Saffron Screen, and you will need to pre-book your tickets beforehand. You can get them cheaper as a member or as a student, so keep that in mind. And if you'd like a little bit more information on that, there is a PDF on the website, on the Saffron Screen website, telling you kind of all the information about the day, including like a timetable of what's going on. We also have Lee back on the 24th of November by popular demand. That's Sunday the 24th at 7:30. We also have Gladiator 2 playing with some big names: Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, and Joseph Quinn. And that is showing, I believe, 4 times from Saturday. No, from Friday the 29th.
Yeah, so we've been talking about November still, but there's just a couple of things that we want to bring up in December, because there's some really exciting things happening, and even into the next year, into 2025. So December, I am aware of the dates, however, I'm not going to tell anyone yet because secrets. We do have Moana 2. That is obviously the Disney hit sequel to Moana, if anyone had guessed that. So yeah, we've got Moana 2 in December. We've also got Wicked Part 1, which is obviously been hyped up so much, starring Ariana Grande as Glinda and Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. So that's got so much buzz around it. I feel like there's bumblebees in my head. I'm very looking forward to that one. We also have 2 Christmas pop-ups, so we will probably talk about this more in in the December episode of the podcast. But on Saturday the 21st in the evening, I'm not 100% sure on times yet, we do have a Bad Moms Christmas at the town hall. There's going to be Prosecco, there's going to be tables, like you can sit on a table with your mates. There's gonna be so much prosecco. There's gonna be a little bit of Christmas decoration, not loads, but there's gonna be some. We're gonna have all the refreshments out. We're gonna have popcorn, and it's gonna be a great night. Tickets will only be £10, and you can book a table. And if you book a table of 6, you get a free bottle of prosecco. Your table is reserved for you, so you will be guaranteed to sit together and all this and that. So that's exciting. Sunday the 22nd at 2:30, we have the Polar Express. It's going to be like pajamas. We're going to have a hot chocolate station. There's going to be a Christmas tree with
my
train
God.
going around it. That I'm not going to say too much more because spoilers. But please cut
Because you've
this
signed
out.
an NDA.
Yeah, you've signed an NDA. You're not allowed to tell anyone. Yeah, so December is going to be, obviously it's Christmas, but it's going to be jam-packed anyway with lots of other good stuff. And that's not even the full lineup for the cinema. That's just like a few little previews.
Yeah.
And then next year, which is I'm only bringing this up because it's on priority sale now for members, is David Tennant is starring in Macbeth. And it's on priority sale now. It's on Sunday, the 9th of February. That's the screening, and it will be on general sale to the public in about a week. So by the time this goes out, it'll probably be on general sale. I think it's going to be very, very busy. So, and I know people like to pre-book very in advance for like arts on screen. So get those aisle seats while you can. That's all I'm going to say on that. Yeah, so we'll see you in December, and we'll have more information on those couple of things that we mentioned and more
Yeah,
to round out the year.
very good. Little Christmas episode. Be fun.
Oh, I'm gonna get
Oh,
some
yeah.
local cookies.
And we haven't done one yet because obviously our first one was January.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that'd be cute. Cool. See you next time.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Toodles.
Toodles.